We've spent the last month talking with people and exploring how technology is helping make our world a more accessible place for everyone. And I am so excited to introduce today's guest, Cheri Perazzoli. Cheri has been a hearing accessibility advocate for close to 3 decades. And her advocacy is rooted in universal design, creating environments that are easily accessible to people of all ages and abilities. And her efforts have actually led to hundreds of assistive listening systems installed in theaters, hospitals, places of worship, civic and government spaces, and other venues. She's currently serving her third term on the board of the Hearing Loss Association of America. I've always been really so impressed and grateful for everything everyone at the HLAA is doing to advance accessibility. We are so glad that she's able to share her personal experience with hearing access and inclusion. Hi, Cheri. Thank you for chatting with me.
Hello, Dave. Thank you very much. I'm very honored and happy to be here today.
It's great to have you. So I don't know if you've seen these yet, but we always start with just a fun, totally random, no pressure question, just a little warm up to ease us in and loosen us up. Are you game to play along?
I'll try my best. Yes.
So, Cheri, I'm curious, would you rather have to high five everyone you speak to or start every meeting with a random animal sound?
Well, I'm going to say hee-haw. I don't know. Maybe a random animal sound. I feel like I'm on wait, wait, don't tell me. But yeah.
I really like that because I think the high five would have been maybe the easy way out. I like that. I like that you took the animal sound route. And hey, what meeting would it benefit from starting with a hee-haw? I mean, really. As I mentioned earlier, you've been advocating for hearing access for 30 years. If you were to go back to the beginning, how did you get involved in advocacy? What drove you to become an accessibility advocate?
Well, I'm glad that you brought up advocacy and accessibility because you really, you can't really have one without the other. And this month we, celebrate the 35th anniversary of the ADA. So it's been on my mind a lot. I think I really got into this um, as someone who has had hearing loss for a really, really long time. I learned to disclose my disability and ask for help early on. And it really wasn't until I attended an HLAA convention and where everything was accessible and there were open captions. And we went to an event at the Kennedy Center. So we went to the Kennedy Center and they had looped the Kennedy Center and did a special showing for the Hearing Loss Association attendees. And, it was just really awesome because there were, 3,000 of us there. And many people were witnessing accessibility, audio accessibility, and hearing and communication accessibility in a public venue in a way that we never had before. And for me, that was really life altering. And although I had always been asking for accommodations for myself by disclosing my hearing loss and asking for what I needed in a particular situation, I had never really thought about advocating for other people. And I think that that event was a turning point for me.
You were comfortable advocating for yourself. I think that what we'd love to, the future state that we would love to see is a future state where, that's not even necessary, right? Where spaces and environments and venues are already accommodating to people with all types of accessibility needs.
Well, that's exactly it, Dave. What we want to do is my goal is to eliminate the ask. What if we never had to ask? How awesome would that be? Just to walk in and know that every venue, every communication exchange, everything was immediately accessible or, hearing access was ubiquitous.
This is a question that I've asked everyone who's kind of joined us for these discussions. But I think it's really important to get your perspective on it. What does accessibility mean to you?
Okay, well, I think, it means really easy access. And I think I said early on, you can't really have access without advocacy. And for me, I guess the freedom to participate in every aspect of life, equal to people who have normal hearing. Um, and accessibility is really all about respect, inclusion, and removal of barriers.
Often, I think people focus on what accessible solutions can help people do. I'd love to hear from your perspective how, when accessibility is done right, how can it make people feel?
What's really discouraging, probably the most discouraging, is when you go to an event uh, or somewhere where you are under the impression that there is going to be hearing access. And then you get there, and then for whatever reason, there's not. That is just, it's a huge disrespect. I feel like it's a waste of my time. Um, and I just feel like I don't want to be, people don't want me to be there, that my feelings don't matter. And it's really hurtful and embarrassing if you go to a program and it's really like for a celebration or something. And then, I can't participate in what's happening. It almost turns the celebration into an advocacy event, which I didn't intend for it to be. So I think that that's really the hardest thing is going somewhere where you think that there's going to be access and then finding out that it's not, because my friends and family can enjoy the event if they know that I'm not hearing either, that I can't go out and talk about the program, or the concert, or the play after we've been there.
It's really powerful to hear, you know, you say, an event that you went to enjoy, to experience, turned into, unfortunately, an advocacy, experience for you. That's like you said early on, I think the goal would be to eliminate the ask, right? To eliminate those moments where you feel the need to point out that something's missing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that, that's something that we're trying to really eliminate through, accessibility designs, for like universal design, for example. And if we could just think design for access for all from the get-go, that would really make a difference. And I think it would actually, help Bluetooth SIG achieve their goals in terms of creating a better world. So yeah, lots to be done. A systemic change.
I think it's helpful to hear a little bit more about what those day-to-day challenges and barriers are that people face when the environments that they're in, or a tool or a solution that they're using, were not designed with accessibility in mind. Can you help help us understand what that experience is like?
Sure. I think, well, right now, many people think of accessibility as mobile accessibility. And for me, my barriers are communication barriers. And, communication is really the key to everything we do. So if I go to an event and there's no communication access, there's no audio accessibility, there's no hearing loops, or there's no captions, it's like I'm, going to a program and there's a glass wall around everything, and I am really on the outside looking in. and I can see things happening and I can imagine what is taking place. But sometimes it may be right, sometimes I may be wrong. But it's really, really isolating to go through that. And so that's one type, is just that communication is so important. When we don't hear clearly, it makes everything more difficult. And that's why I guess people with hearing loss causes many people to isolate and just stop going, because it's hurtful to be somewhere where everyone around you is understanding what is going on, and you don't. And so it's easy to start withdrawing from activities and conversations. A friend of mine, a colleague, Ann Thomas, has coined a phrase that people with hearing loss lead uncertain lives. And I think that's so true, because, we never know when we're going to be able to hear and understand and communicate and when we won't.
What do you wish more people understood about access and inclusion?
I hear so many stories from people um who have stopped going places, and then who just really break down when they are somewhere where they do have access, because it's just so powerful. Um, I guess it really is easy to provide access to people with hearing loss. We have the technologies, and communication is a two-way street. So we have technologies, and we have simple communication strategies that can be used. So with the two, it really is easy to help people with hearing loss be have a seat at the table.
Yeah, yeah, and there are solutions out there, and I'd love to hear from you. Where do you see technology making the biggest difference right now in accessibility?
In terms of hearing and communication, I have to look at how far we've come with hearing instruments. I have worn hearing aids for over 50 years. So I've worn almost every brand of hearing aid. The There's been a couple of game changers with that. Being able to use a telecoil in my hearing aid to be able to hear and understand on the phone goes way back. 30 years I've been able to use that on the telephone. And then when made for iPhones came out, to be able to use made for iPhone hearing aids with Bluetooth, I immediately upgraded my hearing aids, even though it wasn't really time, but I wanted that flexibility of being able to hear easily on the telephone. And my gosh, that was a life-changing event for me, to be able to just pick up my telephone and walk through a noisy place and be able to hear like everyone else. Because I actually stopped using the phone because it was so difficult, or having to go to my car and use it was completely quiet to have a phone call. So the ability to use Bluetooth with my phone has been life changing. It's been awesome to be able to stream music. Um, and so that's made a big difference. And I see that being able to hear in places where we can't hear now, is the possibilities are open, wide open.
Yeah, you mentioned assistive listening and hearing access in public spaces. Can you talk a little bit more about the role that Auracast is playing in creating more accessible public venues and locations for people with hearing loss?
Sure. I think, what's going on right now is that Arcast offers tremendous opportunity. We're really excited about what's coming. Assistive technology has had some challenges along the way, and so many things have to align. So right now, we have had tremendous success with telequals and hearing loops. But frankly, everything has to align there. The hearing aid manufacturers have to put telequals in. They have to be placed properly. Then the audiologist must adjust that so that that is the correct settings are enabled. And then we have to go to the venue, and the venue has got to install the technology properly, and the audio visual, the AV, has to be at top of the line. So all of these things have to align to make the assistive technology effective. And I think that has been one of our challenges, is that we go places and they say that they have assistive technology, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work optimally. I think Auracast has done a lot in the right way in bringing the hearing aid manufacturers in right from the get-go. So they have a real stake in this. And then also the venues are looking for a great solution as well. And then obviously those of us who can benefit are looking for an easy solution. It's so I see a great opportunity for mainstream adoption of Auracast, and that has been a huge problem of trying to convince venues that they will reap a return on investment in assistive technology. A lot of folks will say, well, why should we do this? We can't tell who's benefiting and who's not. And that's, I think, the great promise that Auracast holds for us, in addition to, maybe better sound quality, better enjoyment of music, and a higher fidelity. I think if all of these places adopt Auracast and everything is done with care to make sure that we don't have latency and some of the other issues that we have had with other technologies. If we could eliminate all of those challenges, it just opens a world for us. And I see that as the possibility in the future.
It's funny because you mentioned, now with the technological advances that have happened, that providing audio access, hearing access is actually easy now, which I think might catch some people off guard hearing that, with the maybe the reputation or perception of some legacy solutions and things like that. Would you have been able to say that just a few years ago?
So no, I don't think so. I knew that this was coming, and I think that this has been our dream, to be able to, be able to walk into a room and be able to connect easily, and to be able to hear without having to ask. And so no, I didn't see this. I knew it was coming, but it's been really awesome to see how quickly things have evolved. I know it's still going to take time. So really, what I want for myself and for people in the hearing loss community, it's great if we could be able to use our own hearing instruments to be able to connect to the technology. That is key. If I could just walk in and either flip a button on my hearing device or change something on my phone to be able to hear without doing anything. That way I don't have to bother anyone. I don't have to check anything out. I don't have to use special equipment. That is the goal.
We've been focusing mostly on the impact that Auracast can have in public venues and locations and providing, hearing accessibility to those venues. Auracast will also enable personal broadcasts, people to be able to share their personal audio, whether they're watching a movie, whether they're, streaming music, their personal audio with people around them, friends, families. including people with hearing instruments. I'd love to hear from you about the potential impact that ease of personal audio sharing can have for people with hearing loss.
So this is great because I just experienced something similar to this. As you, I think I told you, I went to a Paul Simon concert the other night. And so, of course, before you go to a big concert like this, you like prepare for the concert by listening to a lot of music. And then after the concert, you play all the songs that they didn't play because, you just have to experience it. And so we were doing this in my house, and um, if I'm in my house, I can use my hearing loop, and my husband can listen to the songs, and I can use the hearing loop. But when we were out, I was wanting to use Spotify, and then I'm streaming directly to my hearing aids, and we couldn't figure out, well, the hotel would not let us use Bluetooth feature on the TV. So we weren't able to connect on that. So my daughter was also listening. So we were trying to time it so that she was listening to the same songs at the same time, but there's still a little bit of a delay. And so we couldn't quite time it together. But I was thinking, oh, this would be awesome because everyone in this room, we could all be rocking out to the same songs at the same time.
How was the Paul Simon concert? Did he leave you? Did you have to play a lot of songs afterwards that he didn't play that you wanted to hear, or did he deliver?
No, he did deliver. He did the first 33 minutes. He played, his songs from his new album, and he says they all have to be played together, and it tells a whole story. So that was he did most of the songs, a lot of the songs that we wanted him to do. But his music encompasses so many decades. I was going back, I was probably 13 when Mrs. Robinson came out. And that's really like the soundtrack of my life. So much of the songs are so long. And my daughter said, he could have just played his hits for the whole 2 hours. And we still, would have wanted more. So it was good.
I love that expression, the soundtrack of your life. That's so true. And rarely do we take a step back and think of music in that way. I'm wondering, when you go to a concert to hear the soundtrack to your life, can you help us understand what it would mean to have that seamless, easy, universal experience when hearing the music that has helped shape you?
It would be really awesome. There's just no other way to describe it. And I think, people with normal hearing don't really appreciate what we're trying to seek here. And really, we're talking about different technologies, but it's really what the technology gives us. And what we want is the recreation of hearing music or speech in the best way possible. Right now, different hearing devices have been designed to help us hear speech rather than music. And the same thing with the telecoil. It's set up to help us hear speech. It does not have stereo sound. So to be able to have to recreate our natural hearing as much as possible, that's what everyone wants. And frankly, that's what every hearing aid manufacturer wants to be able to offer you as well. So, but yeah, it would just be such an awesome experience to be able to hear and understand and experience music in the same way as my friends and family who don't have hearing loss.
Uh, so I think it's what everyone wants, and I think it's what everyone deserves too. I know that everyone here at the SIG really appreciates the relationship that we've been able to form with everyone over there at the HLAA. But that organization and everyone there has helped us learn so much. And, I have learned even more today talking with you. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad you were a part of this conversation that we're having on the need for additional access. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate the opportunity.